Okay, so welcome to the free community event for this month, the Truth Unleashed. So it's all about the breath of courage for truth speaking. And just to let anybody know who's on the recording, who's going to be watching a little bit later, and maybe for Mel's dad, just a little bit about me. My name is Melisa Bassett. I'm an embodiment and leadership coach. I'm an intuitive somatic healer, co-author and serial entrepreneur, and I live in the heart of the wine region in Marlborough, New Zealand, with my husband and three beautiful children. I'm also the founder of Rhythm and Rise and Liberty Dance, and I like to call myself a liberation activator because I'm a reminder and a permission slip to men and women who desire to live, love, and lead from a deep place of embodiment. And I support entrepreneurs and professionals to create a life that they're deeply passionate about while being the fullest expression of who they are, to amplify the impact that they have in the world, to magnetize more income, and to bring more depth to their legacy. So that's just a little bit about me. Just to give you a little bit of an idea about the intention for tonight's session. You're going to leave the session with an understanding of perhaps why it is that you hold back from speaking your truth, how to use your breath, this beautiful breath that we are all born with, to connect in with your inner truth, how to communicate your truth in a way that feels really authentic and compassionate, and also some practical tips for integrating truth speaking into your daily life. So I've got a lot to pack in this hour. So I'm just going to keep moving through it. And so just to give you a little bit of an outline for the structure of tonight's session. So I'm just going to start, once I've given you this outline, just with a little mini teaching. Then I'm going to talk about the breath pattern that we're going to be using. So the difference between the session that we're doing tonight and is an integrative session. So we're actually going to be using, it's a shorter breathwork session. It's really just to activate a desired state and move you into aligned action. So it's just really a session to move energy, just to bring some awareness to what it is that, you know, we're feeling and experiencing, and then to move energy. When we do the meditative sessions, those are the ones that we go into deeper sessions. We go into an altered state of consciousness. We really get into the somatic, we get into the pain body, and we get to move through any energy that might be stuck within our nervous system. Then we're going to start with some journal prompts. We're going to do a short integrative breath work. And then, yeah, just a wee share at the end if you feel like it. And that's it. So just to start with, I just wanted to bring some awareness to what we've been seeing around the world these last few years. And this, of course, is me speaking my truth and what I'm seeing, experiencing, and through the lens of my awareness. So what I've been seeing over the last couple of years is a lot of censorship, a lot of cancelling, you know, a lot of people that have been speaking up against the narrative, against the popular narrative, the one that's been shared with us via mainstream media and things like that. If anyone has been speaking up against that, we've seen a lot of cancelling, we've seen a lot of free speech being eroded, human rights being trampled on when it comes to us being able to actually share our thoughts and opinions in a way that is perhaps different to what we are being told to think and believe. And part of that is, you know, people have been afraid to actually speak up and share their thoughts and opinions out of being cancelled or defamation. So I think the throat chakra has really been impacted. And it might just be also mirroring back what it is that's been going on in your life. And when we experience things in our external world, then it sort of brings those things to the surface a little bit more and makes us more aware of things that are going on in our own life. Because of course, the external world is often only a mirror to what's going on in our internal world. So that's just what I've been seeing myself personally. So we don't always have to agree, and we don't all have to speak from that same level of truth, but that's just what I've been seeing. So a little bit about my story. Um, I've always held back from speaking my truth, been scared of saying something and then getting into a situation where I might feel might get some conflict or might get some resistance from someone when I've actually spoken my truth. Comes through as a fear of rejection, not wanting someone to reject me for my thoughts and opinions. So kind of like really tiptoeing around my words, writing something on a Facebook post and putting my comment out, and then reading it and going, oh my God, is that going to be all right? What is that person going to think of me? And just having so much chatter, so much internal chatter when it comes to sharing my voice and my opinion. A lot of doubt, a lot of overthinking, thinking too much about what it is that I'm saying, and then getting myself into a pattern where, I end up just feeling paralyzed and not actually saying anything. That feeling of disconnection, that real disconnect from what it is that's really important to me, my values, just not really having a deep understanding of that. And then just actually having that vulnerability, that feeling of vulnerability around sharing my truth, just afraid to actually speak up. So just to let you know that I also have, had moments during my life and still continue to, where, those fears pop up. And the only thing that we can do as human beings is just notice them when they arise and see what it is that we can do to address them, move through that energy, maybe doing some deeper healing around the layers of where they're perhaps showing up. So as I am a trauma-informed therapist, a hypnotherapist, a heart healing practitioner, I really look at the root of something, not just the symptoms, not just what's going on in your world right now, while that's very interesting. It's not actually getting to the real root of what's going on. So we always have to go back to where it began. And so for a lot of us, it is in those fundamental years of when we are growing up, that perhaps within the environment that we're growing up in, we do start to develop these fears. So I'm just going to bring up a little bit of just looking at where perhaps this all starts. So if we've experienced any childhood trauma, any abuse or neglect, that can really have an impact on someone's ability to be able to speak up and share their truth honestly and authentically. If we've been in an environment where it hasn't felt safe to share your truth, then people end up suppressing their emotions. They actually go into what we call a freeze response. And so just rather than sharing their emotions and expressing how they're feeling, they shut down in order to protect themselves. That can also coming from parents, perhaps when they've shamed a child's emotions, where a child has had an emotional response to something, and the parents have said, why are you behaving like that? There's no need to get, over the top about it. Just that really minimizing and shaming of somebody's emotions as well. And just, those times when parents might say, just wish you would stop talking. You talk too much. I've had that said to me a lot as I was growing up with teachers. I wish Melissa just had a button so I could turn her off. All those sorts of things, while they might be said in jest or from a teacher that just really just wanted a little bit more quiet in the classroom, layer upon layer upon layer, those things, they really start to internalize them, and they do start to impact. So that could come from teachers, coaches. It doesn't have to come from parents. Anybody that that shames you or gives you a negative feeling around you sharing your authentic voice. Another place that can come from is overbearing parents, having parents that were critical or dismissive of a child's feelings and opinions. That can lead to lack in confidence in expressing oneself. Adults who grew up with parents that learn to defer to authority figures. So we look to authority figures for the answers. This could be going to the doctor and asking the doctor, expecting them to have all the answers, or authority figures in our society. Fear of punishment. So, if a child grew up in an environment where they were punished for speaking their truth, or, whether or not, something happened within the family environment, and they told the truth, and then they were punished because the parents didn't believe them. Those sort of situations can really impact somebody's, having a fear around speaking their truth because of punishment. Lack of validation is a massive one. I see this so much with my clients, just having that, children that didn't receive the validation for their thoughts and feelings when they were growing up. They might have been expressing themselves as children, but they just didn't have the validation because the parents just didn't have that emotional maturity, or just didn't have the awareness that by validating a child's thoughts and feelings, that really helps them to feel safe with what it is that they're expressing. So the lack of validation is such a big one. And if you don't have that as you're growing up, then you look externally all the time from people for approval, validation. Is what I'm saying, is it okay? Is it acceptable? And so, the people pleaser part of us comes out if we're continually looking outside of ourselves for validation. And of course, cultural or societal norms, just growing up in a culture whereby, I've seen this before with a client of mine growing up. I think she was in Bulgaria, maybe. Don't quote me on that one. But over there, it wasn't the norm for women to be able to speak up. Women's voices were very much suppressed, and it actually created hypothyroidism. And so that was from this fear of being able to speak up, or not being able to share a voice. So those sorts of places it can come from as well. So if we just look at the fears, there's about 5 different common fears that are coming through, which do show up and impact people. So the fear of rejection, which comes from that validation. We need someone to validate what it is that we're saying, that it's okay, that it's acceptable, that it's approved of, which then, comes into, what's happening in the world right now around shutting down people's voices, because, we do fear rejection. We need to be part of a society to feel safe. And so saying the right thing allows us to be connected to other people, which is part of our human survival. So, people might fear speaking the truth because it might lead to rejection, judgment, and that causes people to hold back speaking their thoughts and opinions. Fear of conflict. This was something that was big for me, just not wanting to share my voice in case my truth, in case it created some conflict, and that was quite a big energy in my body, that conflict energy. That could lead to arguments and tension. So maybe growing up in an environment where there was, a lot of arguments and tension around conversations within the family dynamic, that can create a real fear of creating rejection. I'm just going to let Shan in, even though she's a little bit late. She's going to have to catch up. Fear of failure. So people may fear speaking their truth will lead to failure or negative outcomes. So sharing personal truths can make a person feel like they might damage their job or their relationship. So that's that fear of failure as well. Fear of vulnerability, we've kind of covered that one, just feeling vulnerable around sharing your truth. You might feel judged, rejected. And the final one is fear of not being good enough. And I think most of humanity can relate to feelings of not being good enough. That that really is a very common one for many people. Just feeling that the ideas are not valuable, or they're not skilled or knowledgeable enough to actually speak their truth confidently. So they tend to just hold back. So that's just to give you a little bit of insight as to where those beliefs come from. Because I think once we can create a little bit of understanding around where our beliefs come from, around speaking our truth and why it is that we hold back speaking our truth, once we bring some awareness to it, once we can shine the shadow, the light on those shadow aspects, then it really helps us to be able to speak from a place of truth. So moving into the practical tips. So practical tips for really being able to start to begin to speak your truth more is just, doing some journaling practice. It's like writing down, perhaps where you're, throughout the day, where it is that you are speaking your truth, where you're holding back speaking your truth. So just bringing in some practical journaling and writing down your thoughts and feelings and just noticing what it is that you're thinking, what it is that you're feeling. So you can actually create a little bit of a visual around that. I think journaling is a really good way of doing that. Fly that's hanging around my head right now. Cold immersion. So sometimes we spend so much time up in our head thinking about what we're thinking about, and we just live from this place up here. We forget about the body, and the body holds the wisdom. So sometimes what we can do is we can actually use a bit of cold immersion. We can get ourselves into a cold shower, a cold plunge, sometimes even just putting your hands into cold water or splashing cold water on your face. If you're feeling overwhelmed and you're in a situation that you want to just down-regulate your nervous system, cold immersion is a really fantastic way from bringing you back into your body. It's kind of like a little bit of shock treatment. Just to bring you down out of the layers of the head and back into the body. And humming and singing, of course, are another really good way to open up this throat chakra. So we really want to be able to open up the throat chakra, and bringing in the humming, just vibrating the glottis in the back of the throat, or singing is another good way. So how to communicate your truth in a way that feels authentic and compassionate. So the key to that is to be really clear on what it is that your truth is. So taking time to get to know yourself, reflecting on your thoughts and feelings, and your values. I think, when it comes to speaking your truth, if you have a deep understanding of who you are and what you stand for and what's important to you and your hierarchy of values, then we are speaking from a place of, this really matters to me. And the other side of that is we're more likely to honor our boundaries and say, when someone's crossed that line, when they've, violated you in some way, you're actually be able to stand up and say, hold on a minute, this is really important to me. This is one of my values. And you, from that place, from a regulated place, we can speak our truth. What quite often happens, and it takes some time to bring awareness to this, is that we grow up in an environment where our parents are projecting their values onto us as children. And so as adults, it takes a little bit of time to get an understanding of, is this my value, or is this the value of my parents that I'm still living through them? Something that was important to them that I've taken on board as a value of mine. And so just creating an understanding around, is this my value, or is this one that I have inherited from somebody else? And then a question as an adult, you can say, what am I a stand for? What is it that I am a stand for? What is really important to me? Because once we have that understanding, being so much clearer on speaking your truth, it makes it so much easier. Speaking from your heart. We spend, like I said, we spend so much time, we so detached and so disconnected from our bodies that we spend so much time up here speaking from this lens. And so when we can drop into our heart space, when we can drop back into our body, when we can share our feelings in an honest and vulnerable way, it really allows us to connect with another person and create that understanding of perhaps where we're coming from and where they're coming from. So as an embodiment coach, a lot of what I teach is clients to actually get back into their bodies and speak from a place of embodiment. Listening, the art of listening. I really do believe that this is an art, truly listening to someone and really actively listening to what it is that they're saying. quite often we spend time thinking about what we're thinking about and what we're going to say next, and waiting for the opportunity for that gap in the conversation where we can leap in. But actually truly creating that space for another person to be heard and listening from a place of embodiment as well, like really dropping into those lower chakras. Like if we're in a listening state, if we can actually drop down into those lower chakras, you know, connecting in with the weight of our bottom on the chair, and connecting in with our belly and our heart. Like if we can actually kind of like listen from that space, then we're actually not thinking about what we're thinking about and judging and, you know, creating a little commentary in our mind on what the other person's talking about. If we can truly just sit and listen, that actually allows us to be able to then speak our truth, because we're actually, you know, it's a two-way, a conversation is a two-way thing. The other side of that is practicing the art of compassion, being kind and empathetic, even if the other person doesn't respond in a way that you want them to, because our truth is our truth, and another person's truth is their truth. So, you know, just having the spaciousness for differing opinions. The most important part in that is being able to regulate your nervous system, because as human beings, it's natural for us to feel triggered. It's natural for us to respond through our nervous system when somebody says something that we don't agree with. It's like, ooh, you know, we really feel that in our bodies. And then we go into stories, we create these stories in our minds. So we really want to be able to regulate our nervous system when it comes to being in good conversations and communication with people. There is a book that I highly recommend if you're wanting to communicate better in relationships, and that is the book Attached by Dr. Amur Levine and Rachel Haller. It's a psychiatrist and a neuroscientist. So an incredible book if you're really wanting to understand the dynamics with attachment styles. Right, well, I'm doing pretty good here, pretty good for time. So I'm celebrating myself for keeping on time. So we're just going to finish off with some practical tips for integrating truth speaking into your daily life. So of course, we just want to start small. Don't feel like you have to completely overhaul your communication style in one day. To start small by choosing one or two situations where you can start practicing your truth. We want to do that in a safe environment. You know, perhaps we're doing it with friends, you know, sharing something about yourself that perhaps you haven't shared before, practicing that vulnerability, practice saying something which you feel is, you know, might be a conflicting kind of conversation to have. You know, maybe it goes against the mainstream narrative. Maybe it's an unpopular belief, but can you practice, you know, speaking, you know, those things that you might think might be a little bit of a touchy subject. So just practicing these things, starting small. And it could be just simply as telling a friend how you're feeling. Like maybe that's a level of vulnerability that you haven't experienced before. The other part of that is tuning into your body. So we really have to just take a moment to tune into your body and just notice the sensations that we're feeling. Like, you know, what is arising within us as we go to speak our truth? You know, do we have to clear our throat? Are we coughing? What is it that's happening within this throat chakra? What's happening within the body? You know, are you starting to feel the nervous system is activated and you're feeling the gut is churning? So just noticing what's happening in your body as you're starting to connect with your emotions and your values. One of the things that I think is really helpful when you are, you know, in engagement, speaking your truth, is to just really ground yourself. Make sure that you're fully connected to the earth. That can also help us be able to speak from a more embodied place. Be prepared for discomfort. So when it does come time to speaking your truth, be prepared to be uncomfortable, especially if you're, you know, not used to sharing your thoughts and feelings. It might feel uncomfortable, but it's normal to feel vulnerable, to feel exposed, to feel like, oh my God, am I going to say something? Is this person going to reject me? Is this person going to judge me? Am I going to feel shamed? But just remember, all of those those stories that you're telling yourself, they're all old stories. They're from the past, right? So we can create new ways of being, we can create new stories for ourselves, but we just have to, just to try and embrace the discomfort, just knowing that you're growing and you're changing and you're evolving. Just, we need to kind of like explore those edges of our comfort zone, basically. Celebrate your successes. So, as we're beginning to speak our truth, I need to have some water. I'm speaking a lot. As we're beginning to speak our truth, share ourselves from different layers of vulnerability, the fears that we've had in the past, then just taking a moment to acknowledge your progress and how it is that you're showing up for yourself. It is only through that level of awareness and celebrating what it is that you're doing right that we can actually continue to move forward and expand. So interesting. All this talking about throat chakras, and my throat is feeling quite tickly. So there we go. There's a little bit of the teaching before we move into the breath work. I just got a couple of other things, notes here. Lies are the shadows of the throat chakra. So I think it's really important to see where it is that we're perhaps lying to ourselves. So where are we lying to ourselves? What stories are we telling ourselves? What stories are we telling ourselves around, that we're not good enough? Within relationships, what lies are we telling ourselves within within our relationships, within our relationship to ourselves? So in order to speak our truth, we also have to see where it is that we're lying to ourselves. And sometimes we can have our blind spots. Sometimes we don't want to see perhaps where we're lying to ourselves and where we are being inauthentic. But in order to speak our truth, we also have to see where we're lying. Speak with discernment. Not everything that we think needs to be spoken. So just taking that time to feel into, whether or not the thing that you're, wanting to say, does it need to be spoken? Does it need to be said? Can you sit on it? Are you speaking from your ego personality or from your wounds? Sometimes we share our truth, but it might be from a wounded place, from our ego personality. So just checking in, where is that truth coming from? The most important thing, oh, this is so funny, my throat. This is quite normal to happen when we're talking through about the voice for throats to start playing out. A big part of the teaching that I do with clients is around nervous system regulation. It's the foundation from everything. It's the foundation from which we live our lives. If we can't regulate our nervous system and our emotions, then we're always going to be speaking from our pain body. So there are the 4F, the stress archetypes. So we've got the fight, the flight, the freeze, and the fawn. And all of those different archetypes, we're going to show up in a different way. We might be a people pleaser if we're falling into the fawn. If we're, if we have a stress archetype, which is the flight, we might run away from conversations. We might isolate. We might withdraw. If we have a fight archetype, then we might go into that angry outburst, shouting, wanting to be heard in that way. Or the freeze is the complete shutdown. We numb, we can't actually, we don't even have a voice. So just understanding your stress archetype is a really important way for us to be able to regulate our nervous system. I feel versus you make me feel, ownership versus blame. When we can come from a place of I feel rather than you make me feel, that is taking ownership for our truth speaking. Righto. So I'm just going to share a little bit about if anyone on the recording or tonight, Mel, Rebecca, you're still trying to connect. You've been doing that for about half an hour now. Is interested in taking this work further and wants to do any one-to-one work with me. I have my Life Accelerator program It's my life's work rolled into 8 beautiful weeks of one-to-one work with me. We do hypnotherapy, we do breath work, we do heart healing. It's truly life-changing and transformational, this program. We learn all about your stress archetype, your nervous system, how to regulate it. We look at life vision, what it is that you want to create moving forward. Honestly, it's just the most incredible program. So that's the Life Accelerator. The Up-Leveled Leader is the 4-week program, which is purely breath work. I need a throat lozenge. My throat is like seriously getting all tickled up here tonight with talking about all this true stuff. I might have to go and do some shadow work and see where I need to clear my throat. So the Up-Leveled Leader is a 4-week program. It's all about breath work. We get right into the somatic system. We get right into the pain body, and we really start to unleash and unearth everything that's holding you back. The transformation that's been happening in those 4 weeks has been incredible, really life-changing as well. And then on the 23rd of April, I have an in-person group workshop. Unfortunately, Mel, you won't be here. So that's going to be, 3-hour workshop. So there's a little bit of, if anyone's interested in working with me further. So what we're going to do before we move into the breath work is we're going to do a little bit of journaling. So what I like to do before we go into the breath work part of it is we want to open up the neural pathways. We want to bring some awareness to what it is that's showing up for you, because once we bring some awareness to it, some intention to what it is that we are wanting to move through, then once we move into the breath, where we can really start to release these things. So if you've got your piece of paper or a journal there, then we can get into the journal prompts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the breath work that we're going to be doing first, and then we will move straight into the journaling and straight into the breath work, and then we will wrap this up in about, we might just go over a little bit tonight. So the breath work that we're going to be doing tonight is integrative. So we're just going to be dropping into the body, just really to move energy, just to shift energy, bringing some awareness to what it is that's showing up for you around speaking your truth, and just creating the attention just to move energy, to shift energy. See if we can create a little bit of spaciousness within that throat chakra, and then just moving us into aligned action. So what is an action step that you could take to really start to show up in a way where you are speaking your truth more? So if you haven't done much breath work before, my invitation is to just take it at your own pace. You're your own sovereign being. So while I might guide you into it, please just take it as an invitation. If it doesn't land with you, please just listen to your body over my cues. So you might experience, as we're breathing, a lot more air than than just normal breathing for every day. As you might feel a little bit lightheaded, right? You might feel some tingling in your body. You might feel some emotions start to arise. You might actually feel some resistance. It's like, ugh, actually, this doesn't feel very good. It's because we're not used to breathing a lot of life force energy. So essentially, when we're breathing, we're actually breathing life force energy. And the thing that people lack, when we're talking about the sense of aliveness, is that sense of vitality, which comes from having an energetic system which is flowing, being able to really deeply breathe. So we're actually going to be activating your life force energy today, and it might not feel very good. So just notice any resistance, any discomfort, any pain. My invitation is to keep breathing and see if you can move through that, because when we can move through the resistance, on the other side is liberation. All right, on the other side is often what we want, but we have to move through and go through the discomfort to get to expand into what it is that we want to feel. The difference between normal breathing every day and the kind of breath that we're going to be doing today is we're breathing healing energy. So I just want you to make that difference between normal breathing and today we're breathing healing energy. So we're going to be doing, and I have to take this out of my mouth to demonstrate. The first breath. And so I want you to have some fun with this today. All right. We need to just let go and just not be so serious, because the first breath that we're going to be doing today is actually the lion's breath. All right. So I don't know if you've heard the lion's breath before, but we're going to put our hands on our knees, and then we're going to open up our mouth. We're going to take a deep breath in, and then that's it. Beautiful. And on that exhale, we're going to make the sound right? So kind of like a ha. Yeah. So as we're breathing, this is actually quite, it might not feel like it, but it's actually quite a stimulating, because I was practicing this yesterday just to prepare for this, to know how far I can take you, you know. We're only going to do it for 2.5 minutes. So during that, it is quite a, you know, an expansive, it takes a lot of energy to do this one. So just if it, you know, if you want to slow it down, in the beginning, you might have a little bit more energy, but the more that you do it, you might feel that you need to slow it down. So this is your invitation to listen to your body and what feels good. The next breath we're going to move into is the 3-part breath. We're going to move into a clarity phase, bringing clarity to what it is that you're wanting to speak. So we're going to breathe into the belly, into the chest, and out through the mouth. Okay, it's all done through the mouth. So we're going to breathe into the belly, chest, out through the mouth. So belly, chest, that's it. So into the belly. So it's 2 inhales, 1 exhale. Belly, chest, exhale. Belly, chest, exhale, all done through the mouth. Then we're going to go into a 1-minute top hold. Okay, so we're going to fully exhale, and then we're going to breathe in, and we're going to hold our breath in. At the top, we're going to hold the breath in. In this phase, we want to be able to create a little bit of expansion. All right, your lungs are going to go, breathe, breathe. We want to see if we can just hold that a little bit longer and create a little bit more space. And then when you get to that point, you're like, I have to breathe, then take a breath in. If you can't hold for the 1 minute, that's absolutely fine. Take a breath in. You'll take, yeah, and then go back into the top hold again. So take another breath in and then hold at the top. These breath holds are truly incredible. They really feel quite delicious in our body once we get used to them. The next breath that we're going to go into is the pulse breath. So we're going to breathe into the nose, and then we're going to breathe out. All right, so on the exhale, we're going to make the sound ha, 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 ha. I want you to visualize when we do this part that you've got a speaker. This is a speaker. Right, we're going to amplify our voice. This is going to be like a speaker. We're going to amplify our voice out. And then the final one is the final phase is connection and safety. So we're going to breathe into the count of 4 in through the nose. We're going to hold for 7. And then we're going to breathe out like a straw for the count of 8. So this is a really beautiful breath to calm the nervous system, to quieten. So if we want to be able to speak our truth and create that connection within, this is the breath pattern. This is really going to drop us into our body and create that connection in with our body. And then we're going to finish off with the final visualization, and then that is us done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to post these journal prompts into the chat. And if you're watching this on the recording will be on YouTube. And the journal prompts will be in the comment, in the section below the video title. So they're actually all kind of lumped together there, Mel. So the first question is, what is my biggest fear that blocks me from speaking my truth? So we're looking at the 5 common fears around rejection, failure, conflict, not good enough, and vulnerability. So just seeing which one of those shows up for you. Maybe there's a few of them. I know for me, probably 4 of them in the past have really shown up. And then in what situations do I hold back from speaking my truth in work and relationships with myself? In what situations do I feel I fake or force myself to be someone or something I'm not? And how do I feel when I do this? So when you're answering this one, just refraining from judging yourself, just simply noticing and observing. And then the final question is, how would my life change if I authentically and compassionately spoke my truth? How would I feel? So I'm just going to pop a little bit of music on while you so we're just going to do a couple of minutes for each of those questions, and then we'll move straight into the breath work.
My feet.
There should be some music coming through. Can you hear that, Mel?
But I'm catching a spark and a light from stars in the moon I see. Hold on, yeah, hold on to me. That's how it's gotta be. If you're ever gonna learn, then watch and see how it grows, how light changes the world we know. Taking the fear and the pride of another broken soul. Hold on, yeah, hold on to me. Truth says hold on, you can still hold on to me. Truth speak, I hear you now. So truth speak.
Just wrapping up that first question, if you haven't already moved on to the next question. In what situations do I hold back speaking my truth? Work, relationships with myself.
Truth speakers here to stay. It's out in the open and it won't go away. You can sweep it under the carpet, but it'll rise with the dust again someday. They came to these shores with a flag and a gun and passed judgment on indigenous man. They renamed the beaches and renamed the rivers and claimed all the fertile land. Then they laid down the lore, laid down the lore, laid down the lore on Aboriginal land.
would my life change if I
I could
authentically
feel
and
the sun sitting
compassionately
down on me.
spoke my
I was
truth?
broken, I was
How would I
hopeless, I
feel?
was caught up in a dream. They said it'd take a while before I found me. Walked the road all on my own while my demons followed me. Didn't know what to do, but I knew. Had to find my truth. And then I flew right into you, and now I'm feeling bulletproof. I wanna make you my home. I wanna make you my home. I wanna show you what you have done for me. Oh, you made me so strong.
Just another minute here with that question. Looking up your answers. We move into the breath work.
I could feel the sun sit down on me. I was broken, I was hopeless, I was caught up in a dream. They said it'd take a while before I found me. Walked the road all on my own while my demons followed me. Didn't know what to do, but I knew. Had to find my truth. And then I flew right into you, and now I'm feeling bulletproof. I wanna make you my home.
Okay, so if you're watching this on the recording, of course you can pause the recording at any time to finish off, wrap up your answers.
Oh, you made me so strong.
Alrighty, so for those that are watching the recording, either lying down in a comfortable position, or you can actually do this breathwork practice sitting up, just making sure that you're sitting in a nice comfortable chair. If your neck can be supported, then that's advisable. Otherwise, that's fine just to sit in a comfortable position. Anyone who's on live tonight, don't worry, you will not be on the recording. It'll just be me. So you can relax into your lion's breath and no one's going to see you. They'll just see me sticking my tongue out. Alrighty, so we will move into the breathwork part. We're just going to drop in with just a quick short meditation just to drop into the space. So I'll just make sure that my music's not too loud. Alrighty. So when you are ready, just taking a couple of cleansing breaths in through the nose, just closing those eyes down. Just taking a few cleansing breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. Nice long exhale. In through the nose and out through the mouth. Beautiful. And one more time, in through the nose and out through the mouth. Just really feeling into the energy beneath you, beneath the sit bones, or if you're lying on the ground, just really feeling the energy beneath the body. Just allowing yourself just to deeply relax. So see if you can just relax your lower body, your sit bones, or the back of your body just a little bit more. Really grounding yourself into the space. Just letting go of anything that's still on your to-do list. Calling your energy back in from everything that you've been doing today, any conversations that you've had, any conversations you're yet to have. Just seeing if you can just give this time to yourself right now. And I just want you to bring your attention to your throat chakra. Right, maybe just placing your hand on your throat, just noticing it, just giving it some attention. Just creating an intention for your throat today. That we're just going to open up the throat chakra for your truth, for you to speak your truth today. I just want you to visualize the color blue, just noticing its intensity, what shade of blue, how bright the blue is, how pale it is, just noticing what sort of shade of blue are you noticing in your throat chakra today. Just setting an intention here today just to get exactly what it is that you need, what your soul needs, not what your mind thinks it needs. Today we're going to be activating your throat chakra. We're going to unleash your truth, unleash your brave to speak your truth. Right, we're going to be activating the breath of courage, the breath of being brave and standing up and speaking what's on your heart, what's on your mind, what's truly important to you, your values. Your voice matters, what you think, your opinions matters. So just reminding yourself of that. We all have an authentic expression and an authentic voice that deserves to be heard. It's important that your voice is heard, no matter what your beliefs are from the past and your fears are. But let's just creating an intention today, just to create a little bit more space for your authentic voice to be heard. And as we move into the first phase of the release, this is the lion's breath. So let's have some fun with this. So you're just going to place your hands on your knees. If you want to keep your eyes closed when you do this, you can. We're going to take a deep breath in. And then we're going to release. So I want you to imagine at the back of the throat, there's a ball of fire that surrounds the back of your throat. So just bringing attention to this fire. Let's just have some fun with this breath today. That's it. And I want you to release all of those things, all of those fears that you have, those fears of rejection, those fears of conflict, those fears of vulnerability, of not being enough. Just allowing yourself to release and let go of the doubts, the insecurities, the lies. What lies have you been telling yourself? That's it. Allowing that fire to burn off, to set alight what it is that you're releasing and letting go of here today. This is a really energetic breath, so if you need to really slow it down and take your time with it, that feels good for the body too. I know it might feel silly. But we also carry a lot of weight and tension in our shoulders. So maybe it feels good as you're doing it to roll back your shoulders and open up the chest area. Beautiful. Beautiful breathing. Love that you're having fun with this breath today. Just another 20 seconds here. That's it. Just seeing what it is that you want to release and let go of. Let's create some space. allowing that fire in the back of the throat to burn off what it is. Just feeling like the flames just burning off any fears, any limitations, any stories, any lies. Okay, the judgments, the vulnerability. And as we move into the next phase, we're going to be creating some clarity. So this breath pattern is the 3-part breath. So just releasing that breath. We're going to move into the 3-part breath. So you're going to breathe into the belly, into the chest, and out through the mouth. We're just moving energy today, that's all. So breathing into the belly. So into the belly, into the chest, and out through the mouth. This is a more intense breath pattern, so with this one you might start to feel a little bit lightheaded. Take your time with this breath, bringing some clarity. Allow this breath to create some clarity around what it is that you want to say. How do you want to share your authentic voice? How do you want to show up and speak? So breathing into the belly, into the chest, and out through the mouth. It's all done through the mouth. What would you say? I'm creating some space, some openness for your voice to be heard. Allowing your authentic expression. That's it. You're doing great. Just take your time with the breath. Just allowing it to flow beautifully into the body. And on that exhale, just releasing anything else that you want to let go of. Anything else that you want to release to create space for your beautiful voice to be heard. For your voice to be spoken. What it is that you say matters. Your values, your opinions, your thoughts, it matters. Let's say it from a regulated place. Let's say it from a place of embodiment. That's it. Just allowing that breath to move the energy, to create the space. Just taking your time with it. Maybe it feels really good just to slow that breath right down. This breath is creating, it's cleansing, it's creating clarity, clarifying what it is that wants to come through you, what wants to be spoken. Just another 40 seconds here. Take your time with this breath, allow it to come into your body. I know it might be more energy that you're used to breathing into your body, but just trusting on the other side of that, you're going to feel really amazing. And we're going to move into the top hold soon, so just finishing off this breath, just another 20 seconds here. Really creating some clarity. What do you want to say? What wants to come through? What are you going to share? So just moving into the top hold. So on your next exhalation, taking a full exhale out. And then on your next inhale, you're going to breathe in through the nose and hold it at the top. And just seeing if you can create a little bit more space around the throat. Creating a little bit more space. Just holding your breath as long as you can. If you have to breathe out and take another inhale, you can do that. Go back into the top hold. Going to be here for another 20 seconds. creating a little bit more space in that throat chakra. Just noticing the color of blue in the throat chakra now. What color blue is coming through? Is it getting brighter? Is the blue getting more vivid, more bright? So releasing that breath if you haven't already, just returning to your natural breath for a moment. Just notice the energy that's shifting in your body. Just noticing how you're feeling. And we're going to move into the next breath pattern. So this is, we're going to breathe into the nose twice and exhale twice. And on the exhale, we're going to make the sound ha, 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 ha. We're moving more energy into the body, so just taking your time with this breath, making sure it feels good in your body. Now on your exhalation, I want you to imagine that you have got a speaker coming out from your throat, right? Coming out from your throat area. What is it that you want to express? What is it that you want to say? What is it that has been on your mind that you've been holding back from saying? What is it that wants to come through? So just allowing, just visualizing that speaker coming out and you speaking your truth, you showing up authentically. Maybe it's a conversation with a loved one. Maybe it's with a client. Maybe it's with a colleague. Just bringing into your awareness someone that you want to speak your truth with, and just visualizing throat, amplifying your voice is safe to be heard. Hi, Mum. Opening up that throat chakra now, just visualizing the color blue coming through. How vivid and bright is that blue, just allowing it to illuminate into a beautiful bright blue. One more minute here, you're doing amazing. Showing up, speaking your truth from a place of embodiment, connected into your heart, deeply connected into your body, your nervous system regulated. Just another 20 seconds here. Beautiful. And then just releasing that breath pattern before we move into the final phase. You're doing so well tonight. Just really celebrating you for showing up. So this breath pattern is the final phase, and we're going to drop into this connection within. Right, this is where we feel into what is most important. What is it that you value? What is on your heart? So we're going to breathe into the nose, the count of 4. We're going to hold the breath for the count of 7. So just holding that breath for the count of 7. And then in your own time, just exhaling to the count of 8. On that exhale, we're going to breathe out like you're breathing out through a straw. So breathing in. Hold. And exhaling. Deep inhale. hold. And deep exhale. Just continue in with that breath. Just connecting in, maybe just placing a hand on your heart. And just saying to yourself, I speak with integrity, with clarity. My voice is clear and powerful. My opinion matters. I am safe to speak my truth. I am honest and authentic with my voice and my actions. That's it, just staying with that breath, breathing into the count of 4, holding at the top for the count of 7, and then a nice deep exhale. I feel compassion towards myself and others. Really just dropping into that sense of safety. Just feeling safe within the body. A sense of calmness. Beautiful. We're nearly there. And then just releasing that breath pattern now. Just returning to your natural breath. And just noticing the energy in your body now. Just noticing who is here now. And how would it feel to show up in your life feeling more authentic and compassionate? What would you say? How would you speak your truth? What words have you been holding back? Just visualizing yourself stepping forward into a higher version of yourself, one that feels confident, that feels calm, that feels expanded, that feels so connected to the truth of who you are. That you deeply know who you are at the core. This is when we get to speak our truth, when we deeply know who we are at the core. What moves you? What drives you? What do you stand for? What are you devoted to? What is a no? What is a yes? And how can you honor yourself and speak your truth? And know when those boundaries are crossed for you. And then you will speak up. And you will say no. We have to know ourselves at a deep level. So just allowing the spaciousness in the throat, just visualizing that color blue as bright as you can imagine. And that you are going to step forward and take action from this place of deep alignment and deep embodiment with clarity, and feeling safe. So that is it. That is the truth unleashed. We have unlocked the breath of courage, especially that lion's breath. I think that's, such a playful breath. That's one that, we can do with our kids and getting them to play with, just moving energy, when we're feeling that we're, perhaps feeling a bit shut down and we're not speaking up when we want to say something, we can use that lion's breath. Let's open up. Let's use this beautiful thing that we've been gifted with and speak with confidence what it is that's on our heart, what's on our mind. So thank you so much for coming along, for sharing your time, your energy with us tonight. And if you're on the replay, I would love for you to share your experience, what came through, any breakthroughs, any new awareness, how you're going to show up for yourself moving forward, what actions you're going to take from this place of deeper embodiment, feeling more connected in with who you are. I would dearly love to hear that. And I will see you online or in the group. And so I'm going to stop this recording.